we are here with the amazing Brooke Ence, who is an elite CrossFit competitor, entrepreneur, and star of Fox's Ultimate Tag. So thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Amazing. So let's get right into it. The Ultimate Tag show is quite intense, physically active, and overall a badass version of the playground game tag. And you play the tagger. So what does the role of the tagger do?
They get tagged. It's kind of, you wouldn't be able to like move for a little while, or it's like you just last as long as you can until you get tagged. Like certain ones, it's inevitable you'll get tagged.
Okay.
But it's like who can last the longest before you would get tagged, right? And we just get in the way. We just make it really difficult for them, for them to do well. We can't win, obviously. Like a tagger is gonna win. We don't have an opportunity to win the money or the ground prize.
Right.
But it's very fun to be involved in the whole show and not even have like the stress of like winning.
Just have fun and I love it.
Possible. Yeah.
That's really cool. And so how did the creators enhance the concept of the childhood game tag?
They just made it way more intense, a lot like big obstacles, things you have to jump over, climb over, around obstacles, and all of it has to be sturdy enough to be able to handle like different body sizes, like men and women, like running full speed and being able to feel stable when they land on something or they're jumping over something. And so, I was pretty bruised.
I'm sure you were.
Oh yeah. And it's because it's adrenaline. You're running at full speed. You don't really have a lot of time to be careful. So people that are going to do well on that game are ones that, and they did, like this season, they really did find athletes. They found people who come from an athletic background and come from sports or some from parkour and put them into it because they needed to feel confident in being able to move their body through space at like top speeds, and not a lot of time to make decisions. You get to be able to make quick decisions.
And also, so your first big major screen role was in the iconic and hugely successful Wonder Woman movie. So what did you do to prepare for that role?
I didn't do anything different. So I got brought out to Europe, to the UK. I was the last Amazon to arrive. And I actually got to speak to one of the guys when I was out there in Italy, and he was like, he's like in charge of the money. And he explained it too. He's like, I got all these pictures of girls and the trainers put together, like, what it's going to take to get her ready. And he's like, and then I saw your picture and I was like, I'm not going to pay her to come out. It was like his way of, it was a compliment, but like save money, like don't bring me out yet. So I was just training. I got brought out. I continued my regular training because I was still in preparation for competition.
Right.
And yeah, I trained with we went to the gym, a couple times a day. We started doing a lot of extra stuff. So we started doing a lot of, working stunts and like sword work and that type of stuff. I was working with a dialect coach for a little while. And then we also were riding horses. So I grew up riding horses, but never European. So I was rode Western, a much more comfortable saddle. So we were riding horses a few days a week. And that was probably the most different thing, especially because I physically wasn't used to it. So your hips, just being in that position and like hanging on to the horse, but I was also doing all my training.
You were probably sore.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So sore. And then you add, out filming, and we'd be in our wedged shoes running on the beach, like full sprint, running through sand. And so I was definitely sore, but it was just a very surreal experience.
I'm sure.
I did the Justice League right after that, and that was an incredible experience. I really loved working with Zack Snyder, and it was all green screen, so which was interesting. It was
that your first green screen?
This was my first time doing anything.
Oh, wow.
So like, it also was crazy because it's just a really big production. Like that's a lot of people would say like that's so crazy to get to have that be your first experience because it was. It's so big,
absolutely.
But
was it a little intimidating being on a set like that for the first time?
Yeah, it was like, where do I go? who am I allowed to talk to? And
I think I'm allowed to talk to.
I think it was also really funny because I didn't know like the people you're supposed to know. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. The major.
Which was, I mean, probably a good thing for some people, you know, that care about people getting to know them and not just like thinking you're cool because, you know, was wanting to like have an angle. But yeah, I remember one of the first days I was in, my driver was picking me up and we were going horseback riding. I was at where I was staying, and he said, "We're waiting for Stephanie Roven." And I was like, "Who's that?" And he goes,
like, are you serious?
Stephanie Roven? And I was like, "Yeah, who is that?" And he goes, "That's Charles Roven's wife." And I was like, "Oh, who's that?" And he goes, "Oh," he's like, "That's the producer of the movie." And I was like, "Oh." But I will tell you, I mean, from literally that day on, me and Stephanie and Chuck they're like my family.
Oh, that's amazing. That's beautiful.
And but that's how they are too. Like they're not, you know, I met such wonderful people. And those are probably the best things I could take away from the experience.
The relationships you made.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's amazing. That's really cool. And you actually had spinal fusion surgery in 2017. And although that would stop a lot of people, girl, you did a whole other angle and you started 3 companies. So you have your apparel company, your skincare line, and you started a podcast. So what was your vision behind such a variety of new ventures?
I was an entrepreneur before I even realized I was. You know, I think that just through like training, and I was competing and like starting to deal with like sponsors and companies, I just always was someone who I focused on what I was doing, but I always wanted to know, like, what do I have happening like 10 years down the road? You know, people that are like the best at CrossFit in their sport, like they got their blinders on, they don't focus on anything else, and that's why they're the best, you know. And
they live in.
And I was really good. Like if I didn't have to have my spine fused, I was prepared that year. I was the strongest I'd ever been. I was the fittest I'd ever been, and some other things happened, you know. So, but I always wanted to. If a sponsor came to me and said, like, "I want to work with you," I was like, I play the long game. I'm like, I don't care about what you can give me right now. I don't have any interest in working with you if you can't see my potential, or you don't see my value enough to like tell me, like, I want this to be a longer term relationship. Like, this isn't just like a, you know, like, you'll be a sponsored athlete. It's like, because I can work a job. Like, I'll work at a coffee shop. I love working at a coffee shop. Actually, that's where I worked before I started like competing full time.
Right. Okay.
And so I just always, you know, I'm not afraid to work. I don't want to, you know, I just started doing things on my own. And then over time, I say I'm an idea person. I have so many ideas and things I want to do. And over time of like making good decisions in relationships, I just started to surround myself with the right people to like bring some of those to fruition. Yeah. And just waited until like the time was right to do it. So I have a clothing company. I have a training app. I have an online training program that is, it's so awesome. And it will beat you up, but it's like a good beat you up. It's called Naked Training Program, nakedtraining.app. It's epic. I have a skincare company. I launched some protein with my supplement sponsor. I have the podcast.
So how do you keep track of all that?
I have an incredible assistant.
I love it.
I do, because like for me, I'll even like in a conversation like this, and I'm like start thinking about like, oh my God, I forgot that I do that. Oh, I forgot that I do that. And that's just kind of how, you know, my brain works. Like, I am an idea person. I focus on something and I do that. But over time too, I really started with recommendations from a really good friend of mine who has built an incredible business on herself. Right. Was telling me, Brooke, you need help. And I'm like, but like, where do I get help? 2, what do I have them do? You know, because I had done everything for myself for so long that I'm like, I really had to go, Jesus, take the wheel, and just trust that like things wouldn't like burn or fall apart. And Yeah. And I've been with I have the same assistant. She's so much more than that. We're working on a better way to explain it. My other half,
You're the, oh, I love that.
my right-hand woman.
Yeah. I like that. Your right-hand woman. That's
Yeah.
nice.
And without her, I would not be juggling all the stuff that I'm doing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we have new stuff in the works that I can't talk about, but I'm very excited about. And I think that you'll definitely enjoy it.
And so like, what advice would you have for people who are like pursuing their dreams and have a setback like you had?
Like a setback, like for me, like we talk about like my injury.
Exactly. Yeah.
It
comes in the way of pursuing.
Yeah, it's hard, man. For me, I'll just speak to you as if I'm what I would tell myself, or at least what I told myself, which was, it's out of my control, and it's hard and it sucks. But all you can do is control what you can control, and you got to let go of the stuff you can't. I allowed myself the time to feel how bad it felt. I didn't want to lie to myself and try to just convince myself that I was happy, because it sucked. But I really just had to work on reframing it in my mind of how I felt about it, and seeing it in a positive. So instead of seeing it as my career's over, I've lost, like I was literally at the top of the game. I was unbelievably prepared to just crush competition. I had to really look at it as like, what has been more more important for me. I've always really cared about I play the long game. Like how am I going to matter to people when I'm not a professional athlete?
Absolutely.
I have to really I have to like do more and be, experience more and be more and be more relatable. And that's how I figured it out. It was like, all this is doing is it is giving me an opportunity to experience something, like experience firsts again, like starting over. And so speaking about fitness, I get to do my first pull up again. I get to do my first handstand again. I get to do my first, all these movements, which it just kind of takes me back to being able to re-experience what that really feels like, and become even more relatable to a big demographic of people that have never done a lot of stuff in like a health and fitness aspect. And that makes me more valuable, and that value will last so much longer than where I place at a CrossFit competition.
Right. And also, speaking of like what got you into fitness, how has it helped you not just physically but mentally?
I would say, I've been into fitness my whole life. My whole family they're all athletes. I danced. I played softball competitively when I was growing up. I swam on the swim team. It wasn't necessarily for me, but both my sisters were highly competitive swimmers. I did gymnastics. But I really loved dance. I mean, I thought I was going to be on Broadway. That was my thing, man. I sang and danced until I went to college, and then I was a dance major at the university. And I got into like fitness because I was always very built. Right. Genetically, I just was always really strong. And I remember the first time I got into like working out and lifting weights was I met this woman, came and coached at our college, or taught, but she did a kickboxing class. And I was like, this chick is like dancing, and she like is so lean, but like muscular and kind of like me, like seeing someone who like resembles me. Yeah. And I was like, what do you do? Because I feel like I need to do it. And that's kind of how I got into like lifting and like the sort of fitness type stuff. And then I found CrossFit in preparation for an audition I was asked to come to for Le Rev. It's a show in Las Vegas. And I needed to find someone to help me to learn, just some things on like the rings, because I was auditioning for like an all-around dancer. So they do climbing, jumping, diving, all kinds of stuff. And I found CrossFit, and it kicked my butt. And I loved it because I was just coming from what I thought the fitness industry was like very objective and, just so judgy. And I already had deeply rooted insecurities about my body, because I was teased from a very young age for like having really muscular arms. And, so from a young age, I had this idea that I feel like, I don't think, it wasn't that anyone ever told me this, but I think I created it on my own, of that, like I was wrong, like that I was like God messed up because there was just so much of like, oh, you look like a boy, or your arms are bigger than the boys. And, you know, and I was made to feel slightly insecure. And then you're a teen and you're a kid and you grow up and like go through bodily changes. And then with CrossFit, it was like, oh my God, like you're celebrated because of your performance. You're celebrated because of like your hard work. You know, your bodies are celebrated because of what we can do with them. And it was just a perfect place for me. And it was definitely one of the first times that I was like, oh my God.
Like I fit here. This makes
I fit here.
Yeah,
like
that's beautiful.
This, like you guys don't think I look weird? I can take my jacket off and you're not going to say anything about my arms.
That's really cool. That's really cool. That's beautiful. And so, you know, your normal life is like athletic competitions and life on the road. So what is your now like new normal? What is a day in the life for you now?
Ooh. I've been trying to get back to my YouTube channel a lot. So I've been, you know, training and filming. I usually go with my girlfriend, Gina. We go to the gym was open for a little while. Now
it's closed again.
They closed it down and they have some outdoor space. Right now it's kind of crazy. I'm in the process of selling my house. So there's that. But yeah, we usually get up, I check my emails. I've either got like a phone call in the morning or I've been doing some interviews for Ultimate Tag, and then I'll go to the gym, train. And then usually if I don't have an appointment, I end up wanting to take a nap. I'm not like traveling a lot. And I'm pretty much by myself with my dog all day. Oh, I take Maggie to the dog beach or the dog park.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I've napped a lot more during this as well, which is weird because I'm not a big napper. I'm always a go person.
And like my problem is that I always like feel like I want to nap, but the second I like sit down, it's almost like I will not like fight going to sleep, even though I'm so exhausted. And
you're probably so conditioned to just always be go going, you know, you need to do something. It's almost like napping is not allowed. So your body's probably.
This is going to be a problem when we get back to normal, because it took a real adjustment for me to slow down. And now when it wants to pick back up, I'm going to be like, I think I really like this lifestyle.
A little bit. But you can have the medium now a little bit. So,
yeah.
And also social media has given you a worldwide reach. What are some of the success stories that you've helped people with your program that you have?
Just a couple. One in particular, we did our first fitness retreat, and one of the girls, I'm not going to say her name, I was meeting her for the first time, right? And it was like the last day, and I guess that she had just been like holding off like to tell me this like life story. But this girl had been through so much with her family, like abandoning her, like in a very verbal, abusive relationship, just so much stuff. And she really just wanted to let me know what role, like that I like 100%. And it's almost hard for me to tell people some of the stories that people send me or message me, because I don't really like to like talk about myself that much. But she just laid it out flat of like, I was single-handedly the person that got her through it all.
Wow.
And she didn't know me personally. And now we're like this, we message all the time, you know? And it was like, there's so many moments that I have these realizations, because on like social media, you look at it and it's like, it's a number.
Right.
You know, and so I try and like have conversations with, you know, and message people. And I love when we do like our like naked training, like retreats, and we get to actually be in front of people. But it's moments where you read these things that I actually realize like what value I do have and the influence that I'm having on people. And moments like that, when I have like hard days, or maybe because we go through hard stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And it like reminds me of like, I'm doing good stuff, you know, and I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. And yeah, I mean, countless messages from girls that it's like had eating disorders, and I got them through that. Tons of, it's almost too many to just pick a few stories.
That's where social media has such an impact as well, you know, because the fact that you can use that for good, and you're helping so many women, and that's amazing.
And so many teenage girls, which makes me so happy.
Yeah. A lot of teenagers go through a lot of body image issues. So that's really amazing. All right. So to end, I'm going to ask you a few random fun questions. We always end like that. All right. So what is your favorite midnight snack?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Like on a sandwich or just a scoop?
Sometimes on a spoon. Sometimes I don't need it in anything. I do it on rice cakes a lot, like a lightly salted rice cake with peanut butter and low sugar strawberry jam. I'm pretty much addicted to that.
Okay, it's like an everyday thing. I love it. I love it. And what is your favorite outdoor activity?
Ooh, currently probably surfing.
Okay.
Oh, and horseback riding. I grew up riding horses, and I'm actually in the process of, as soon as it opens up a bit more, starting lessons out where I live.
Oh, very cool. That's fun. Are you a good surfer? How is your surfing skills?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Okay. I grew up on a lake, and now I live by the ocean, but I'm a lake baby. And I really enjoy wakeboarding, wake surfing, mostly wake surfing. I've hurt myself way less on the surfboard than on a wakeboard. So
you're just an all-around athlete. I love it. It's amazing.
I like I'll try anything once, most things once.
Most, keyword. And this one's just a fun one. So your red hair or your blonde hair?
Ooh. Man, I loved the red. I really did. I mean, I love the blonde too. And even when I had the red, there were certain times when I missed the blonde. I think when I missed it the most was during photo shoots.
Okay.
Just like the way it pops in pictures. And I've had blonde hair my whole life. So it was pretty crazy to go red, but I was like, let's just do it. I mean, I was also getting divorced. So I was like, I'm divorced. Let's dye my hair red. But I loved the red, and I would have kept it if it would have been a little bit easier to the upkeep. But my hair is so light that
I'm sure that you're probably dyeing it constantly when it's red. Yeah.
During quarantine, when it first happened, me and my best friend Gina, I got all the color I needed for my hair. She colored my hair twice, and I did all of her gray hair.
Oh my God!
I did all of her gray hair, and I did her extensions. She has tape and extensions. I took all of them out. I dyed her hair, and I moved her extensions up.
Okay, maybe add another whole adventure here now. I'm a hairstylist. I love it. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to hear about all your new ventures and this other new one that's coming up now. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.